The wine was breathing, the candles were lit, and my wife was about to destroy our 15-year marriage with a text message. I just didn't know it yet. I'm Nick Thompson, 45 years old, financial manager at Henderson and Associates, and apparently the kind of husband who still believes in romantic gestures. The dining room looked perfect, our good china, the anniversary flowers I'd picked up during lunch, even that expensive bottle of Cabernet we'd been saving for a special occasion. Tonight felt special enough. My phone buzzed against the granite countertop. Emergency work dinner. Client crisis. I'll make it up to you. Sorry, babe. I stared at the screen, watching those words burn themselves into my retinas. Marta had been pulling these last-minute cancellations for months now. Always work, always emergencies, always something more important than us. 15 years, I muttered to the empty dining room. Happy anniversary to me. I poured myself a generous glass of wine and settled into my chair, looking across the table at Marta's empty seat. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent the afternoon calculating retirement portfolios for other people's futures, while my own marriage crumbled in real time. That's when my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Thought you should know. Check the attached photos. Sorry, man. 3 images loaded slowly on my screen. The first showed Marta laughing in a hotel bar, her hand resting on another man's arm. The second was a screenshot of text messages, her number, talking about when Nick's at work, and he has no idea. The third was a selfie of Marta and some guy I didn't recognize, taken at Romano's, our anniversary restaurant from 3 years ago. My wine glass hit the floor and shattered. The man in the photos was tall, dark-haired, wearing an expensive suit that screamed real estate or insurance. He had that practiced smile of someone who sold things for a living. In the selfie, Marta looked happier than I'd seen her in months. I called her number. Straight to voicemail. You've reached Marta Thompson. Leave a message and I'll get back to you. Hey, it's your husband, I said after the beep. Remember me? Guy you married? Guy sitting alone at our anniversary dinner? Call me back. But I already knew she wouldn't. I grabbed my jacket and keys. If Marta was having an emergency work dinner, I knew exactly where to find her. Romano's was 20 minutes away, and I'd memorized every detail of that selfie. The drive felt like a fever dream. Streetlights blurred past as I replayed every suspicious moment from the past few months. The late nights, the new clothes, the way she'd started showering immediately after coming home from work, the distance in her eyes when she looked at me. Romano's parking lot was half full when I arrived. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, hands shaking, trying to decide what to do. Confront them? Take more photos? Walk away and pretend I'd never seen those messages? Then I saw them through the restaurant's front window. Marta sat across from the man from the photos, leaning forward, laughing at something he'd said. Her hand covered his on the white tablecloth. She wore the black dress I'd bought her for Christmas, the one she claimed was too fancy for our usual date nights. I took out my phone and started recording. They talked for another hour. I watched my wife of 15 years flirt with another man, touch his face, kiss him goodnight in the parking lot. When they got into separate cars, I followed hers, the Marriott downtown. Of course, I parked across the street and watched them enter the lobby together. My hands were steady now, my mind crystal clear. I walked into the hotel like I belonged there, took the elevator to the 3rd floor, and found their room number by following the sound of Marta's distinctive laugh. Room 347. I went back downstairs to the gift shop and bought a congratulations card, the kind you'd give to newly engaged couples. Inside I wrote, "Congratulations on finding each other. Hope you're both very happy together. A well-wisher." I slipped it under their door and left. The drive home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I kept expecting my phone to ring, expecting Marta to call with some explanation that would make this all make sense. But the phone stayed silent. I was pulling into my driveway when I saw her sitting on my front porch. Rachel Morrison, Marta's best friend since college. She stood up as I got out of the car, and even in the dim porch light, I could see she'd been crying. "Nick," she said, "we need to talk. Marta's not who you think she is." Rachel followed me inside, her footsteps echoing in the hallway like a funeral march. I poured myself another glass of wine and offered her one, which she accepted with shaking hands. "How long have you known?" I asked. She sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where Marta and I used to plan our vacations and argue about mortgage payments. Rachel looked older than her 41 years tonight, her usually perfect blonde hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. 3 months, she whispered. I caught them at the Riverside Mall. Marta told me it was just coffee, that Lucas was helping her with some work project. "Lucas?" I repeated. "That's his name?" "Lucas Brennan. He sells luxury cars at that dealership on 5th Street. You know, the one with all the BMWs and Mercedes in the window. I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised us both. Of course he does. Let me guess. He's got a corner office and a company car? 2 company cars, Rachel said, and a condo in the Riverside district. Marta's been there, Nick. Multiple times. The wine turned sour in my mouth. Why are you telling me this? You're her best friend. Rachel's eyes flashed with something I'd never seen before. Anger, pure and simple. Because I'm tired of watching you get played. And because, she paused, looking down at her hands. Because she slept with my husband, too. The silence stretched between us like a tightrope. David? I asked. Rachel's husband was a quiet accountant, the kind of guy who collected stamps and watched golf on weekends. When? Last year. That's why we're getting divorced. Marta was my maid of honor, Nick. She stood at my wedding and promised to love and support our marriage. And then she seduced my husband at our 10-year anniversary party. I set down my wine glass and really looked at Rachel for the first time. She'd always been the responsible one in Marta's friend group, the designated driver, the one who remembered birthdays and organized baby showers. But tonight, she looked like someone who'd been pushed too far. What do you want from me? I asked. I want them to pay, she said simply. Both of them, and I have a plan. She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila folder thick with papers. I've been documenting everything. Photos, text messages, credit card statements, hotel receipts. Lucas isn't just cheating with your wife, Nick. He's cheating with half the married women in this town. I opened the folder and immediately regretted it. Photos of Marta and Lucas at various restaurants, shopping centers, even at the beach last month when she'd told me she was visiting her sister in Portland. Credit card statements showing charges at lingerie stores, expensive hotels, jewelry shops. Jesus, Rachel, how did you get all this? I hired a private investigator, she said. Cost me $8,000, but it was worth every penny. Look at page 12. I flipped through the documents until I found what she was talking about. A detailed report on Lucas Brennan's financial situation. Multiple credit cards maxed out, behind on his condo payments, 3 different women he was currently dating for their money. He's broke, I said. Completely. That fancy lifestyle is all borrowed money and credit. He's been using these affairs to fund his lifestyle. Expensive dinners he makes the women pay for, gifts he charges to their credit cards, even rent money from that teacher he's been seeing on Thursdays. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Marta's been paying for their dates? Our joint credit card, Rachel confirmed. The one you never check because you trust your wife. I walked to my laptop and logged into our banking website. There it was, spread across 3 months of statements. Romano's, the Marriott, Victoria's Secret, a jewelry store downtown, even a weekend trip to Napa Valley that Marta had claimed was a work conference. She spent $8,000 on this affair, I said. Our money. Your money, Rachel corrected. Marta hasn't contributed to your joint account in 6 months. She's been keeping her salary in a separate account and spending your money on Lucas. The laptop screen blurred as rage built behind my eyes. 15 years of marriage, and my wife had turned me into a cuckold and a bank account rolled into one convenient package. What's your plan? I asked. Rachel smiled, and for the first time all evening, she looked like her old self. We're going to destroy them, both of them. Publicly, financially, and socially. By the time we're done, they'll wish they'd never met each other. I'm listening. First, we document everything. Every lie, every stolen dollar, every hotel room. Then we start the campaign. Lucas has a reputation to maintain at the dealership. Marta has her precious social circle and her job at the advertising agency. We're going to systematically dismantle both. I closed the laptop and looked at Rachel, really looked at her. She wasn't just Marta's betrayed best friend anymore. She was my co-conspirator, my partner in this mess. There's something else, she said quietly. I've been staying at a hotel since David and I separated, but the divorce is getting expensive, and I can't afford it much longer. You can stay here, I said without thinking. The guest room is empty, and Marta obviously won't be needing it. Are you sure? It might get complicated when she finds out. I thought about my wife laughing with Lucas at Romano's, using our anniversary restaurant for her affair. I thought about the $8,000 she'd stolen from our joint account. I thought about the congratulations card I'd left under their hotel room door. Let it get complicated, I said. I'm done being the understanding husband. Rachel reached across the table and squeezed my hand. This is going to get ugly, Nick. Are you ready for that? I squeezed back. I've been ready for 3 hours. Rachel moved into the guest room the next morning while Marta was at work. We spent the weekend planning our campaign like generals preparing for war. Rachel had brought 3 boxes of evidence: photos, documents, recordings, even a timeline of Marta's lies cross-referenced with Lucas's financial transactions. The key is patience, Rachel explained as we spread everything across my dining room table. We can't just dump all this information at once. We need to be strategic, surgical, death by 1,000 cuts. I picked up a photo of Marta and Lucas kissing in the parking lot of his dealership. What about confronting them directly? That's exactly what they'd expect. Marta knows you, Nick. She knows you're non-confrontational, that you'll want to talk things through and work on the marriage. She's probably already planning her apology speech. Rachel was right. I'd spent our entire marriage avoiding conflict, letting Marta make the big decisions, keeping the peace. Even now, part of me wanted to call her and ask for an explanation. So what do we do first? Rachel pulled out her laptop and opened a social media page I didn't recognize. We start with Lucas's reputation. I've created a fake profile. Jennifer Walsh, recently divorced, looking for a reliable man to date. Watch this. She sent Lucas a friend request, along with a flirty message about seeing his profile and being interested in luxury cars. Within an hour, he'd responded with a long message full of obvious pickup lines and an invitation to meet for drinks. He doesn't waste time, I observed. None of them do. Now watch this. Rachel screenshotted Lucas's response and posted it in a local Facebook group called Single Women of Riverside Valley, with the caption, "Ladies, beware of this smooth talker. Already has a girlfriend but still trolling for dates online." The post got 43 likes and 12 comments within the first hour. Women sharing their own experiences with Lucas, warning others about his financial problems and cheating habits. Social media is a weapon, Rachel said, and Lucas just gave us ammunition. My phone rang. Marta's number. Don't answer it, Rachel said. Let her wonder where you are. The call went to voicemail, then another call, then a text. Nick, where are you? I came home for lunch and your car isn't here. I showed Rachel the message. She's checking up on me. Good, let her worry. Text back something vague. I typed, running errands with a friend. Be back later. Her response was immediate. What friend? You didn't mention any plans. I didn't reply. Over the next few days, we escalated the campaign. Rachel used her connections in the school district, where she taught to spread word about Lucas's predatory behavior toward married women. I anonymously sent copies of Marta's credit card statements to her boss at the advertising agency, along with a note questioning whether someone who stole from family could be trusted with client budgets. The results were immediate and satisfying. Lucas's manager at the dealership called him in for a meeting about maintaining professional standards. Marta's boss started questioning her expense reports and asking for detailed receipts on all business charges. But the real breakthrough came when Rachel discovered Lucas's pattern. He's not just cheating with random women, she explained, showing me a new set of photos. He targets wives of successful men. Look at this list. Lud Enentuov, Hojheim Anenabridchun. She'd identified 6 other women Lucas had affairs with over the past 2 years. All married, all with wealthy husbands, all eventually discarded when their usefulness ended. Hojheim Anenmarnjumdan. He's a professional homewrecker, I said. Exactly, and Marta isn't special to him. She's just the current mark, but she doesn't know that yet. Hojheim Anenmarnjums idzentui seat boktasi. She created fake social media accounts for 3 of Lucas's previous targets and started commenting on his posts, sharing inside jokes and intimate details that only former lovers would know. Within a week, Marta was questioning Lucas about his friends online. Their public interactions became strained, awkward. The fairy tale romance was developing cracks. Meanwhile, I was becoming a different person entirely. The old Nick Thompson had been predictable, accommodating, boring. The new Nick was unpredictable, mysterious, absent. I started going to the gym after work instead of coming straight home. I bought new clothes, not expensive ones, just different ones. I changed my haircut and started wearing cologne. When Marta asked about the changes, I shrugged. I thought it was time for something new. You're acting strange, Nick. Are you having some kind of midlife crisis? Maybe, I said. Is that a problem? She didn't have an answer for that. The breaking point came 3 weeks into our campaign. Rachel and I were having dinner at my kitchen table. Our kitchen table now, since she'd been cooking most of our meals. When Marta walked in unannounced, she stopped short when she saw Rachel sitting in what used to be her chair, wearing jeans and one of my old college sweatshirts, looking completely at home. "What's going on here?" Marta demanded. "Rachel needed a place to stay during her divorce," I said calmly. "I offered her the guest room." "Without asking me?" "You weren't here to ask," Rachel said sweetly. "You've been so busy with work lately." Marta's eyes narrowed. She knew something was wrong, but she couldn't figure out what. "I need to talk to my husband, alone." "Actually," I said, "Rachel was just telling me about her investigation into cheating spouses. Fascinating stuff. Did you know most affairs follow predictable patterns?" The color drained from Marta's face. "What kind of investigation?" Rachel smiled innocently. "I hired a private investigator to catch David cheating." "You remember David, don't you? My ex-husband? The one who had an affair with someone we trusted?" Marta's hands were shaking now. "I should go. I just came by to pick up some clothes." "Of course," I said. "Take whatever you need. It's still your house, too." But as Marta hurried upstairs, Rachel and I exchanged looks. We both knew the truth. This wasn't her house anymore. It was becoming something else entirely, something that belonged to us. The explosion came on a Thursday evening in October. I was grilling steaks in the backyard while Rachel prepared salad in the kitchen, both of us laughing about something ridiculous Lucas had posted on social media, when Marta's BMW screeched into the driveway. She stormed through the back gate like a woman possessed, her usually perfect hair disheveled, her makeup smeared. Behind her came Lucas, tall, handsome in an obvious way, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. "We need to talk," Marta announced, pointing an accusatory finger at me. "All of us, right now. Right oinia Sue." I turned off the grill and faced them calmly. Rachel appeared in the doorway, dish towel in her hands, looking like she belonged there, which, after 6 weeks of living in my house, she absolutely did. "Of course," I said. "Would you like some wine? We have that bottle of Merlot you bought for Lucas's birthday." Lucas stepped forward, trying to look intimidating. "How do you know about that?" "Credit card statements," Rachel said helpfully. "Nick's been reviewing the family finances." "Very responsible of him, don't you think?" Marta's face went white. "You've been spying on me." "I've been paying attention," I corrected. "There's a difference. For instance, I noticed that $8,000 of our money went to funding your affair. I also noticed that you've been lying about your whereabouts for months." "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I interrupted. "You're having an affair with Lucas here. You've been stealing money from our joint account to pay for it. And you've been using our anniversary restaurant for your romantic dates. Did I miss anything?" Lucas tried to take control of the situation. "Look, man, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but Marta and I are in love. We didn't plan for this to happen." I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "In love? Is that what you call it when you target married women for their money? Tell me, Lucas, how many wives are you currently in love with?" His confident expression faltered. "What are you talking about?" Rachel stepped forward, still holding her dish towel like a domestic goddess. "He's talking about Jennifer Martinez, whose husband owns the construction company downtown, and Sarah Chen, married to that surgeon at Riverside General, and Rebecca Foster, the bank president's wife. Should I continue?" Marta turned to stare at Lucas. "Who are these women?" "Nobody," Lucas said quickly. "I don't know what they're talking about." "Really?" I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through screenshots. "Because I have photos of you with all of them. Different restaurants, different hotels, same playbook." "You're not in love, Marta. You're just his current source of income." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. I could see Marta processing this information, watching her fairy tale crumble in real time. "That's not true," she whispered. "It's completely true," Rachel said gently. "Lucas has been using you, just like he used all the others. The expensive dinners, the hotel rooms, the jewelry. You've been paying for all of it with Nick's money." Lucas's mask finally slipped. "You people are insane. Marta, we're leaving, now." But Marta wasn't moving. She was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Fear mixed with something that might have been respect. "How long have you known?" she asked. "About the affair?" 6 weeks. "About Lucas's other women?" 3 weeks. "About the money you've been stealing?" "Since the day I found out." "And you didn't say anything?" I shrugged. I was gathering information, making plans, learning who my wife really is. That's when Lucas made his mistake. He grabbed Marta's arm and tried to pull her toward the gate. "We don't have to listen to this. Come on, don't touch her," I said quietly. Something in my tone made him stop. Maybe it was the fact that I was holding a grilling fork, or maybe it was the way Rachel had moved to stand beside me, united front and all that. But Lucas suddenly looked less confident. "This is between me and my wife," he said. "Actually," Rachel said, "this is between all of us. See, Lucas, you made this personal when you seduced my husband at my anniversary party. And you made it worse when you turned my best friend into a thief and a liar. You absolutely did." Rachel's voice was steel now, all pretense of sweetness gone. "You manipulated Marta into betraying everyone who loved her, and you used her to steal money from a decent man who never did anything wrong except trust his wife." Marta finally found her voice. "Rachel, I can explain about David." "No," Rachel said firmly. "You can't explain that. Just like you can't explain why you've been lying to Nick for months, or why you've been stealing his money, or why you used our anniversary restaurant for your affair." Our restaurant?" I asked mildly. Rachel turned to me with a small smile. "Nick and I went to Romano's last week. Turns out they have excellent pasta. We might make it a regular thing." The implication hit Marta like a physical blow. She looked back and forth between Rachel and me, finally noticing details she'd missed before. Rachel wearing my sweatshirt. The easy familiarity between us. The way we stood together, presenting a united front. "Are you two?" She couldn't finish the question. "We're friends," I said. "Good friends. The kind who support each other through difficult times. The kind who don't lie or steal or cheat." Lucas was getting agitated now, probably realizing that his meal ticket was slipping away. "Marta, we need to go. These people are trying to manipulate you." "Manipulate her?" Rachel laughed. "That's rich, coming from someone who's been running a con game on married women for 2 years. I love her," Lucas insisted. "You love her money," I corrected. "But that's about to dry up. See, I've closed our joint accounts, changed all the passwords. Marta's credit cards are canceled. If you want to continue this affair, you'll have to fund it yourself." The look that crossed Lucas's face was pure panic. Marta caught it too. "Is that true?" she asked him. "Are you only with me for money?" "Of course not, baby. I love you. We can work this out." But his voice lacked conviction now, and everyone could hear it. "Get off my property," I said quietly. "Both of you." "This is my house too," Marta protested. "Actually, it's not. Check the deed. Check the mortgage. Check who's been making the payments for 15 years while you spent our money on your boyfriend." Marta's shoulders sagged in defeat. She looked around the backyard. At the grill where I'd cooked thousands of meals. At the garden she'd never helped maintain. At the house she'd never really considered home. "I'll come back for my things," she said finally. "Fine, but call first, and bring boxes." They left without another word, Lucas practically dragging Marta toward his BMW. Rachel and I watched them go, standing side by side in the gathering dusk. "That went well," Rachel said. I turned to look at her, really look at her. Somewhere over the past 6 weeks, she'd become essential to my daily routine. Her laugh in the morning over coffee, her stories about her students, her presence in the kitchen, making our house feel like a home again. "Rachel," I said. "Yes, and thank you." She smiled, the same smile that had been brightening my evenings for weeks. "Thank you for what?" "For everything. For telling me the truth. For helping me fight back. For making me remember who I used to be before I became Marta's doormat." "You were never a doormat, Nick. You were just married to someone who didn't deserve you." We stood there in comfortable silence, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Divorce lawyers, property division, the messy business of untangling 15 years of shared life. But tonight, for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. The old Nick Thompson was gone, and good riddance. The new Nick was just getting started. 3 months later, I was a different man living a different life. The divorce papers were signed. The house was officially mine, and Marta had moved into a studio apartment across town. Lucas had disappeared entirely after his luxury car dealership fired him for conduct unbecoming a professional representative. But our revenge wasn't finished. Not even close. Rachel and I were having breakfast on a Saturday morning when she showed me the invitation. Elegant cream cardstock, gold lettering, expensive paper. "The Riverside Valley Charity Gala," she read aloud. "An evening of fine dining, dancing, and fundraising for local children's charities. Hosted by the Riverside Country Club." "Marta's crowd," I observed. "Exactly. And guess who's on the planning committee?" I looked at the small print at the bottom of the invitation. There it was. Marta Thompson, event coordinator. "She's using my name," I said. "Not for much longer. Look at this." Rachel pulled out her laptop and showed me what she'd been working on. A professional-looking website called Truth About Riverside. with a section dedicated to community leaders you should know about. Marta's page was devastating. Photos of her with Lucas at various hotels, copies of credit card statements showing her theft from our joint account, screenshots of text messages where she bragged about manipulating her boring husband, even a recording of her laughing about my pathetic romantic gestures to one of her friends. "When does this go live?" I asked. "Tonight, right after the gala starts." I've also sent anonymous tips to 3 local news stations about corruption in the charity committee. Turns out Marta's been skimming money from the children's fund to pay for her personal expenses. I stared at Rachel in amazement. "How did you find that out?" "I volunteer at the elementary school, remember? I know the woman who does the charity's bookkeeping. She's been suspicious for months but didn't know who to tell." "Jesus, Rachel, you're terrifying." She grinned. "I prefer thorough." That evening, we dressed up and went to the gala. Not together, we weren't ready for that kind of public statement yet, but we coordinated our arrival times. I wore my best suit and walked into the Riverside Country Club like I owned the place. The ballroom was full of Riverside's social elite, the same people who used to invite Marta and me to their dinner parties and charity events. Now they nodded politely, but kept their distance, unsure how to treat the recently divorced financial manager who'd been publicly humiliated by his cheating wife. If only they knew the truth. I found Marta near the silent auction tables, wearing a red dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. She looked good. Marta always looked good. But there were stress lines around her eyes that hadn't been there during our marriage. "Nick," she said when she saw me. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Community charity event," I replied. Seemed like the right thing to support. "Of course. How are you doing?" "Really?" There was something in her voice, regret maybe, or genuine concern. For a moment, she looked like the woman I'd married 15 years ago. "I'm doing well," I said honestly. "Better than I have in years, actually." "Good. I'm glad. I know things ended badly between us, but I never wanted you to be hurt." I almost laughed. "You stole $8,000 from our joint account to fund an affair with a con artist. Marta, how did you think I'd feel?" She flinched. "I know. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But Lucas and it wasn't just about money. I really thought we had something special." "Where is Lucas now?" I asked. Her face crumpled slightly. "Gone. He left town after he lost his job. Didn't even say goodbye." "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. Not sorry that Lucas was gone, but sorry that Marta had been foolish enough to believe his lies. "Are you?" she asked. "Sorry, I mean. Or are you glad I got what I deserved?" It was a fair question. 3 months ago, I would have said I was glad. I would have felt vindicated, triumphant even. But looking at Marta now, alone, abandoned, facing the consequences of her choices, I mostly felt tired. "I'm sorry you threw away 15 years for someone who never cared about you," I said finally. "I'm sorry you became someone I didn't recognize, but I'm not sorry it's over." She nodded, tears threatening. "I deserve that." "Yes," I said gently. "You do." That's when the first phone started buzzing, then another, then another. Within minutes, half the people in the ballroom were staring at their phones with shocked expressions. The website had gone live, and social media was exploding. I watched Marta's face as she realized what was happening. Someone showed her their phone screen. Her expression went from confusion to horror to something approaching panic. "You did this," she whispered. "I had help," I said, looking across the room to where Rachel stood near the bar, elegant in a black cocktail dress, watching the chaos unfold with satisfaction. "Both of you, you planned this whole thing." "We planned to tell the truth," I corrected. "What people do with that truth is up to them." The room was buzzing now. Conversations stopped mid-sentence as people read the website, shared screenshots, pointed at Marta across the crowded ballroom. The charity committee chairwoman was hurrying over, her face grim with purpose. "Mrs. Thompson," she said formally, "we need to talk. Immediately." Marta looked at me one last time. Was it worth it? Destroying me like this? I considered the question seriously. Was it worth it? The months of planning, the careful documentation, the systematic dismantling of her reputation and social standing? "Ask me in a year," I said. She left with the committee chairwoman, probably to face questions about the missing charity funds. I didn't watch them go. Instead, I walked over to Rachel, who handed me a glass of champagne. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free," I said, surprising myself with the honesty of it. We stood together, watching Riverside's social elite process the scandal unfolding in their midst. Some looked shocked, others vindicated. Apparently, Marta had made more enemies than I'd realized over the years. What happens now? Rachel asked. Now we go home, I said. We have dinner, we watch a movie, we plan our vacation to Italy. Our vacation? I turned to face her fully. Rachel Morrison, would you like to go to Italy with me, as my girlfriend, not my co-conspirator? Her smile was radiant. I thought you'd never ask. We left the gala together, walking out into the cool evening air hand in hand. Behind us, the charity scandal was just beginning to unfold. Marta would face questions from the police, probably criminal charges for embezzlement. Her reputation in Riverside was finished, her social circle destroyed, her future uncertain. But that wasn't my problem anymore. 6 months later, Rachel and I returned from 2 weeks in Tuscany, engaged and planning a small wedding for the following spring. We'd bought a house together, a fresh start in a neighborhood where nobody knew our history. Marta had been arrested for embezzling $12,000 from the Children's Charity Fund. She pleaded guilty and received 2 years probation plus community service. Last I heard, she was working as a receptionist at a dental office and living with her mother. Lucas never came back to Riverside. Rachel's private investigator tracked him to Phoenix, where he was apparently running the same con on a different group of wealthy wives. As for me, I was happy. Genuinely, completely happy, for the first time in years. Rachel and I had built something real together, something based on honesty and mutual respect instead of lies and convenience. The old Nick Thompson had been a doormat, a pushover, someone who avoided conflict and let other people make decisions for him. The new Nick was decisive, confident, unafraid to fight for what he wanted. And what he wanted was a life with Rachel, free from the shadows of betrayal and deception that had defined his first marriage. On our wedding day, as I watched Rachel walk down the aisle in her simple white dress, I thought about revenge and justice and the price of betrayal. Marta had chosen Lucas over 15 years of marriage. She'd chosen lies over truth, theft over honesty, passion over commitment. She'd gotten exactly what she'd asked for, and exactly what she deserved. But I'd gotten something better. I'd gotten a second chance at happiness, a partner who valued loyalty and trust, and the knowledge that I was strong enough to fight for myself when it mattered. The old Nick would have forgiven Marta, taken her back, spent years in counseling trying to rebuild their broken marriage. The new Nick had chosen a different path entirely. As Rachel and I exchanged vows in front of our friends and family, I realized that Marta's betrayal had been the best thing that ever happened to me. It had forced me to become the man I was always meant to be. And that man was standing at the altar, promising to love and honor the woman who'd helped him find his strength, planning a future that was entirely his own. Justice, it turned out, wasn't about punishment or revenge. It was about choosing the life you deserved and having the courage to fight for it.